Okay, let's dive in. When you hear that word occult, what's the first thing that, pops into your head? Is it maybe like dusty old books, people in cloaks doing secret rituals?
Mm.
Or could it be something actually much more, well, subtle? Something that's woven into your everyday life, impacting you without you even realizing? Today, we're going on a deep dive that I think will genuinely shift how you see the world. We're talking about revealing the hidden stuff, the forces and meanings that have always been there, just under the surface.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, exactly. We're here to kind of pull back the curtain on all those sensational stereotypes. It's a concept that's just vastly misunderstood, honestly. And our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack what the occult truly means. We want to get past the scary movie version. We'll show how its core ideas and even practices are tangled up in our history, our daily traditions, even how we think today.
Hmm.
And we're mainly drawing from Richard B. Spence's fantastic Secrets of the Occult guidebook and the lectures that go with it. Think of it as a shortcut to getting really informed and hopefully having a few aha moments along the way.
Okay, yeah, let's definitely unpack that. Because for so many people, myself included sometimes, a cult immediately makes you think evil, right? Or forbidden magic, something kind of dangerous. But the sources, they seem to point to something much broader
Mm.
and maybe less sinister. So what's the absolute fundamental thing we should grasp about this word?
All right, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. The term occult itself
Right.
comes from the Latin occultus, and it literally just means concealed or hidden. That's it. It's not automatically about darkness or anything evil. It refers to this huge hidden reality, you could say, that surrounds us, influences us,
Yeah.
but we're mostly just dimly aware of it, if at all. Spence is super clear on this in the source material. This hidden dimension is, quote, driven not by good or evil, but intent. Sometimes even your intent. So it's really about what lies just beyond our normal perception.
Hold on. So not inherently dark, just unseen or unknown.
That completely reframes it for me.
Wow.
It shifts it from something scary to something simply hidden, veiled. Precisely. Exactly. And so occult beliefs, occult practices,
Mm.
they're basically methods, ways people have tried to make this hidden world accessible, maybe understand it, maybe even influence it sometimes. It's about trying to tap into that larger universe, that deeper consciousness that our everyday senses, our logical, pesky left brains, as Spence sometimes calls them, tend to keep blocked off. It's really a pursuit of illumination, you could say, becoming aware of those subtle undercurrents shaping things, realizing there's more going on than meets the eye.
Okay, so if the occult is just hidden and it's kind of all around us, where do we bump into it without knowing? Can you give us an example from like everyday life, something really common that might totally surprise us?
Oh, absolutely. You might be pretty amazed to find it in traditions we celebrate every single year without a second thought. Let's take the Christmas tree.
The Christmas tree.
Yeah, really. The sources describe it not just as, a nice custom, but as a rich ritual with, quote, deep and very occult roots. Think about it. Why an evergreen? Well, back in ancient Germanic lands during those long, dark, pretty harsh winters, pines and firs were some of the only things that stayed green. So they became this incredibly potent symbol of Earth's continuing vitality amid the season of death, like a promise of life returning.
Okay, I can see that. The symbolism of life.
Exactly. And the tree itself was seen as a kind of stand-in for the god or goddess of nature, a channel for that life force. And the presents we put under it, they're described as symbolic offerings, like acts of giving back, sharing energy. It's all rooted in, well, sympathetic magic and respecting those hidden cycles of nature.
Whoa. That's actually really powerful when you think about it like that. So millions of us are doing this thing, this ritual with such deep, ancient symbolic meaning, and most have no idea about its hidden side. It really makes you think about belief, doesn't it? How these things carry forward. What about more formal rituals, like religious ones? Do they have this hidden layer too?
Oh, absolutely. The sources definitely highlight that rituals are, quote, at the heart of just about every religious activity. Because what is a ritual, fundamentally? It's a series of actions performed in a prescribed manner, meant to facilitate the desired result. And often, that result is about trying to bend reality in a particular direction.
Then reality.
Well, yeah. In other words, rituals are essentially magical actions, right? They're designed to cause a change that isn't just purely fecal or obvious. Think about, say, the Catholic Mass.
Okay.
That moment of transubstantiation, the belief that the bread and wine invisibly transform into the body and blood of Christ, our sources actually present that as an occult operation.
Occult. Why?
Because the critical part, the actual transformation, is completely hidden from our physical senses. You don't see it happen. You believe it happens. It's a hidden change, a metamorphosis that relies entirely on faith to achieve the ritual's purpose.
The Mass as an occult operation. That's a huge aha moment right there. It really makes you reconsider familiar things. So it boils down to faith, to intent, even when the mechanics are totally mysterious, unseen.
Exactly right. Spence states it very directly. The power of the Mass is completely ineffective without faith, or what the occultist Aleister Crowley would call will or intention. It's all about the focused energy, the mental and spiritual force behind the actions. And honestly, if you think about it, what is prayer? Isn't prayer basically focused intention aimed at a specific outcome?
Yeah, I suppose it is.
It's channeling your will, your desire to influence the unseen world.
Okay, so if rituals are these kind of magical actions driven by intent, what about more direct stuff, like practical magic? Are there simpler, maybe everyday examples beyond these big religious ceremonies, something you might find in, like, folk traditions?
Oh, definitely. Practical magic, at its core, often deals with really tangible needs, healing, maybe finding wealth, even love. And it often uses very simple, accessible methods. There's a fascinating example in the sources, a common folk remedy for getting rid of warts.
Warts. Okay, I'm listening. This sounds interesting.
It does, right. So the method involves rubbing the wart with a piece of potato. Then you state your intention very clearly, out loud. As this potato rots, so shall this wart disappear. Then you bury the potato, supposedly best during a full moon. And the idea is, as that potato decays in the ground, the wart just fades away.
Okay, that sounds, well, frankly, a bit unbelievable, like something out of an old wives' tale.
It totally does. But here's the thing. The sources suggest it sometimes actually works, particularly with children.
Right, okay. Why children? Is it just placebo?
Well, it's related to placebo, but maybe a bit more active. The sources call it the Dumbo Effect.
Like the elephant.
Exactly. Remember how Dumbo thought he needed the magic feather to fly? The belief itself unlocked his ability. For a child, that simple ritual gives the potato the power to take the wart. It activates their own belief, their own will, you could say, their own innate healing ability to make it happen. But stepping back, think about Aleister Crowley again. He famously defined magic as, quote, the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will.
Conformity with will. Okay.
And even in things like trying to get rich, the sources mention how visualizing success, acting like you're already wealthy, adopting an abundance mindset. These are presented as kinds of practical magic, too. It's about aligning your inner intention, your will, with your actions to try and manifest a result. So the common thread, whether it's warts or wealth, seems to be this power of focused intent or will to nudge outcomes.
So it's maybe less about, like, Harry Potter-style magic powers and more about harnessing our own focus, our own intention, maybe even subconsciously, which I guess raises a big question. Are these occult techniques just clever mental hacks, ways to tap into abilities we already have, or is something else connecting things?
That's exactly the fascinating question, isn't it? And the sources really encourage you to think about that blurry line between just coincidence and maybe consciously directed will. It actually leads perfectly into our next big idea. You mentioned earlier how everything might be connected. Well, the sources really emphasize a core occult principle. As above, so below. What does that ancient phrase actually mean? And how does it connect to this idea of maybe no coincidences, right? As above, so below. It's a famous line. It comes from the Emerald Tablet, which is this really ancient, revered text in Hermetic traditions. And it basically describes this deep relationship between the macrocosm, that's the universe, the big picture, the cosmic order, and the microcosm, which is us, our world, our individual lives. It suggested that fundamentally, the universe, even if immaterial, is ultimately a single vast conscious entity.
A single conscious entity.
Yeah. And if you accept that premise, which is pretty central to the occult view, then it follows that, quote, there is no such thing as accident or coincidence. Every action, no matter how seemingly insignificant, has meaning and purpose. Everything down here mirrors something up there and vice versa.
No coincidences at all. There's a huge thought. It really messes with your head. It suggests this underlying order, this connection that we just don't normally perceive day to day. We usually think life is just, random stuff happening.
Exactly. It's a core belief. And it's not just ancient mystics talking about this. Think about the psychiatrist Carl Jung. He was deeply interested in occult ideas.
Jung, right? Synchronicity.
Precisely. He coined that term synchronicity for what he called meaningful coincidences. Those Events that seem connected in a meaningful way, but there's no obvious cause and effect link, like thinking intensely about an old friend, and then bam, they call you out of the blue.
Yeah, everyone's had those moments.
Jung got a lot of inspiration from the I Ching, the ancient Chinese divination system. He really believed it could reveal hidden patterns in the psyche and the universe. And what's really wild is how this kind of thinking echoes ideas in modern physics.
Physics. How so?
Well, quantum theory. You have phenomena like quantum entanglement, where particles seem connected over vast distances, influencing each other instantly. Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance.
Spooky action. Yeah.
Doesn't that sound a lot like the old idea of sympathetic magic, where doing something to one object affects a related object, even if they're far apart? It's a fascinating parallel.
So, what looks like just randomness to us through our normal senses might actually be part of this huge, unseen, interconnected pattern, like the universe is sending signals.
That's the implication. Jung actually collaborated with the physicist Wolfgang Pauli, and they speculated that maybe beyond the realms of mind and matter, there's a higher reality where the two come together and things like synchronicity or meaningful coincidence originate. It suggests our minds, conscious and unconscious, are deeply plugged into some larger universal consciousness. So, yeah, that core occult view isn't just philosophy. It's meant to be experienced. Nothing is random or meaningless. Everything is connected. You're part of this vast web, this tapestry, where every thread matters.
Okay, this has been incredibly fascinating, seriously thought-provoking. I'm already starting to see potential connections everywhere, but let's be real. For a lot of people listening, these ideas might still sound like, old folklore. Or maybe just wishful thinking, trying to find patterns where there aren't any. Isn't there a danger of reading too much into things, attributing everything to hidden forces, or falling into, confirmation bias?
That's a completely fair point, and it's actually essential to ask that question. Skepticism is healthy here. The sources themselves are honest about this. They acknowledge that, quote, there's often a very thin line between the occultist and the charlatan, and between magic and trickery. History is full of examples.
Right, frauds and scams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the sources also argue something interesting. Even if an individual isn't consciously aware of the hidden meaning, that doesn't mean the influence isn't there. Think back to the Christmas tree example. Whether you know the deep symbolism or not, the ritual's power, its resonance through culture, persists.
Okay, I see the cultural momentum.
Right. And the belief in these forces, whether people state it openly or it's just sort of implied, has definitely had real consequences all through history. It shaped cultures, inspired religions, driven political movements, influenced art. It's undeniable. So it's less about demanding blind belief in magic and more about acknowledging these persistent patterns, recognizing the psychological weight, the symbolic power, and how these hidden ideas have consistently shaped human behavior and our world. We're not saying everything that happens is literal magic, but understanding the concept of hidden intent helps us make sense of a lot of human history and even current events.
That's a really important clarification. Okay, but let's bring it down to earth. For someone just trying to get through their busy week, dealing with work, family life, how does understanding the hidden nature of the occult actually help them? What's the practical takeaway? The relevance beyond just, interesting history.
The relevance. The so what. I think it lies in gaining a much deeper, more nuanced understanding of the invisible forces shaping your world, your choices, your perceptions. Once you start to look for these patterns, this underlying will or intent behind things, Spence says, you'll see that the occult, the hidden, is all around you, and you'll never see the world the same way again.
That's a bold claim.
It is, but I think it holds up. It genuinely encourages critical thinking. It pushes you to question the surface level of things. Think about it. Advertising uses powerful symbols to influence what you buy. Political rhetoric is drenched in symbolism to sway your opinion. Self-help gurus often tap into principles of focused intent, even if they don't call it magic. Pop culture narratives reinforce certain hidden beliefs about the world. Recognizing these subtle currents, this use of potent symbolism and appeals to underlying desires or fears, it just makes you navigate the world more consciously. You become more aware of how perceptions get shaped, how decisions are subtly influenced. You start to see the magic of everyday life, how goals are manifested, why traditions stick around maybe a little differently. It's really about becoming a more active participant in understanding and maybe even shaping your reality instead of just letting it wash over you. So look, if you take just one thing away from our deep dive today, let it be this. The occult isn't just spooky seances or forbidden books. At its heart, it's about recognizing the huge, often invisible power of intent And it's about seeing the deep interconnectedness of everything, that hidden reality that's constantly influencing our lives, whether we notice it or not. Having that awareness, it really empowers you. It helps you better understand the why behind things, the rituals, the traditions, even those weird coincidences that pop up. It's like pulling back a curtain and seeing the machinery behind the stage.
I really like that. It's a profound but also quite simple lens to view things through. Accessible. It genuinely makes you rethink so much, doesn't it? From ancient history right down to your own choices today, the subtle things guiding you. For me, it just makes the world feel, well, way more interesting, more intricate and alive. Thank you so much for guiding us through this hidden world. It's definitely opened my eyes. And if you want to keep exploring these incredible ideas, dig deeper into the history and the impact of this hidden world, definitely check out the links to Richard B. Spence's Secrets of the Occult. They'll be right there in our show notes. Seriously, you probably won't look at the world quite the same way again.
Absolutely. And hey, we really want to hear from you too. Drop us a comment. Let us know on social media.
Yeah.
Which hidden aspect maybe resonated with you the most? What was your biggest surprise about what the occult really means? We'd love to hear about your aha moments.